PMI in Africa. I welcome you all to the PMI Africa Product Showcase, a series of showcases which provides an audience such as yourselves the chance to learn and understand more about PMI's exciting new product offerings. In today's session, you will explore and learn how you can effectively launch projects from start to finish with kickoff. Before we get started, I would like to share with you some housekeeping rules. Firstly, we kindly ask that all participants put themselves on mute and turn off their videos. Please feel free to submit any questions you have throughout the session in the chat box feature by putting the letter Q before your question so we can easily identify your question. Also note that this session is being recorded and that the recordings and the slides will be shared with you on email after this session. Please feel free to network during this session using the chat feature. I hope you enjoyed today's session, as I'm really excited about today's session myself. So, without further ado, I'm pleased to introduce you to today's speaker, who is Kerry Brooks. Kerry Brooks is a product manager within PMI's global operations. Her background is in product development and management, as well as strategic marketing. Kerry works with her teams to develop career-focused digital solutions to solve customer pain points throughout their career journeys. Currently, Kerry is focused on enhancing and growing two new early career tools, that being Career Navigator and Kickoff, as part of her portfolio. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Kerry to kickstart this session. Thank you, Kerry.
Thank you so much, Joanna. I appreciate it. Good afternoon and good evening to you all. I really appreciate you spending your time with me today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. What I'm going to do is start with some slides. Can you see my slides?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So thank you all. So as I mentioned, I'm going to start out with some slides that talk about kickoff and a little bit about some data and statistics behind why we developed kickoff, what it is, and who it's really targeted at. And then I'll go into an actual demo of kickoff for you so you understand how the product works. And I'm very interested and very much look forward to your questions. And as Joanna mentioned, please feel free to put those in the chat, and we'll definitely have time to get to those after this session. So some of you may or may not be familiar with PMI's annual reports, our Pulse of the Profession survey that we run each year on different topics and trends within the project management profession. And going back to one of our surveys in 2018, as you'll see in front of you, there's some pretty big statistics around percentages of projects that miss their delivery date, miss their budget targets, or projects that fail to meet organizational goals altogether. And what that equates to is about $1 million wasted every 20 seconds globally due to poor strategic execution and ineffective project management. Those numbers are a bit scary, and that is really one of the missions of PMI, is to help the individuals and the organizations within the profession to reduce the numbers and these large numbers in our statistics. So a little bit about the opportunity. We have the ability to make people and organizations more efficient. Another data point that's a bit scary is that 22% of project management practitioners say that inexperienced project managers were a primary cause of deemed project failures. Now, if you look in the center column under formal project managers, you'll see that many of these individuals have certifications, one of PMI's or others. And they typically have at least 5 years or more of formal project management experience. Those who engage with you all and with PMI, they know that they have access to various types of resources that have been really pulled together by PMI that we believe add value and can support them in their career journeys. And so their preparedness to manage projects is quite high, but they are the minority within the overall global workforce. Most of the workforce become informal project managers. Myself, I am a product manager, but I leverage many project management skills in my day-to-day role. But informal project managers typically have less than 1 year of any type of project management experience. And typically they may be looking for blogs, one-off articles, maybe using Google or other search engines to find resources and materials that might be difficult to sift through, may not be credible, and can be quite overwhelming. Their preparedness to manage projects is quite low. And as you can see, that's the majority of the workforce. So, to address the needs of informal project managers, or you may have heard them being called accidental project managers, PMI co-developed this application with some of our Global Executive Council members. Those are Fortune 500 organizations that PMI has relationships with. And I can talk about that a little bit more later on. But the purpose of Kickoff for these informal project managers is to help these individuals get smarter and understand the foundational knowledge that we believe is critical for project success. In engaging with Kickoff, it allows the users to put their learnings into practice, both within the experience as well as immediately after taking one of the courses. We've found that formal project managers who are leading and directing projects and manage project teams may have a lot of team members or subject matter experts that may not understand the language or terminology, and this product gives them an opportunity to really rally and inspire a team and bring them together, having the same terminology and process understanding. And of course, for individuals going through the product, they have the opportunity to gain some new skills, critical skills, because everybody manages projects in their day-to-day lives. Essentially, the way Kickoff works is that individuals will answer a few basic questions right up front, and they'll be directed either to a waterfall or agile course based on the type of project they may be engaged in now or will be in the future. It allows the individuals to choose their learning path and go through each course depending on the needs of the project. Throughout the experience, there are activities that engage the user directly. And basically, at the end of either course, it gives the opportunity for that individual to get a head start and get going in leading and managing their product. And because Kickoff, the way it was developed, it can be used on tablets, smartphones, or desktops. So individuals can access this information at any time. We don't say that this is a one and done. You go through the course, you get your badge, and you're all done. But there's the opportunity to come back and revisit some of those topics where individuals may not be totally comfortable. And we provide them with resources to help them in their day-to-day work. And that can be accessed at any time. So we really have 3 target audiences as far as why we built Kickoff. And the first one is looking at that project management leader, that person that is responsible for the project organization. We know that training and professional development at times can be cost prohibitive, depending. And this is really an easy way for individuals to get some education very quickly at no cost to them. For the formal project manager, as I mentioned earlier, Kickoff gives the team an opportunity to really rally around the project. It allows the project manager to educate their team members on what type of terminology and perhaps processes that are going to be used throughout the project that they're participating on. And then last but not least, the informal project manager, really the ultimate person, the target audience that we built this for, because everybody at some point in their life is asked to manage a project, whether personally or professionally. And we really feel that Kickoff can help those individuals get started. So now I'm going to start with the kickoff demo. I have a few slides on this that I want to share, and then I'm actually going to go over to the live application. So first off, this is a screenshot of the landing page. This is where users will be directed to. You can see the URL in dark orange in the bottom left-hand corner, pmi.org/kickoff. On the product landing page, there's information about the target audiences, what users can expect as part of the experience, and features that they'll be able to enjoy as they go through the course. Once individuals come here, they will click through into the application, and you can see there's several languages. This application has been built currently to serve 5 different languages at the moment. We have English, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and simplified Chinese. Then they'll come to the screen where it's the starting point in their journey, where they can tap to start. Now, for individuals who are completely new to Kickoff, they will be directed to PMI's registration process. They'll go through that and register, and then they'll be introduced to their initial questions that I mentioned earlier. For those who already have their PMI credentials and have started Kickoff, they've already answered the handful of questions up front, they'll come back to the product exactly wherever it is that they left off in their learning journey. So now I just want to give you a taste of some of the questions that will be asked up front. They're quite short and very easy to answer, as you'll see. So the first question is, do you have an active project that you're working on? Yes, will be soon or unsure. In my case, as a product manager, I'm always working on new products and always continuing to enhance and iterate and get user feedback. So I do have an active project that I'm working on. Which of the following best describes your work? In my case, I work with developers who develop software digital tools, so I chose software. Does my project or product have a clear beginning and end point? Because my products are always evolving, I say no. Is the final deliverable product or service undefined or changing? Yes, it is, absolutely, because I'm getting customer feedback on the product weekly and using that data to evolve the product. Here, they'll ask what institution or organization they're part of. The individuals can choose their organization or type none if they're not affiliated with one. And last but not least, a question on how individuals have heard about Kickoff. And what they get is basically a message saying, great news, project management is for you. So based on the way I answered some of my questions, it's saying that I would benefit from an iterative approach in using repeated cycles to build out and improve a product, or agile. So now this is a shot once I have entered into the actual experience of Kickoff. You'll see on the left hand, there is this navigation, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that. But immediately up front, there's a welcome and information that is a tutorial. So essentially this demo is the tutorial, but for individuals who are completely new to this, they can go through it and it will walk them through the experience that they'll have in going through Kickoff. So I'm going to stop my slides there and move over to the actual application. So if you remember, on this left-hand side, this column. We saw that the tutorial page was right here, and users can click right out of that. So essentially, to get started, most folks are going to want to start with the introduction section. Oh, apologies, I clicked on one of the active buttons there. And what it does is it's telling them that they're going to be managing a project and exactly what is a project and the different types of ways to manage projects. On this left-hand side, this is where most of the navigation is going to happen. The colored bars, introduction, getting it up and running, getting the work done, and release to operations are basically the modules within each course. And then as you click on each of these are hyperlinked. These are the mini lessons within the modules. So individuals can really navigate through it at their own pace and click to any section they would like. Obviously, if they're brand new to managing a project, we would encourage these individuals to start at the beginning and go through it in order through until the end. Over here, as you see, this is where we discuss what a project is, but at the top, there are tabs. Why it's important, things to keep in mind, and good questions. And you'll also see this navigation throughout the entire experience as well. So let's go ahead and start clicking into it. This is the main page, and we're going to continue. And now you'll see why it's important, highlighted up the top. And this tab is going to be talking about the importance of Agile and what it means and why you might want to run your project in this type of fashion. So there's lots of information about what it is. You can continue on. And now you'll see the tab in the middle, things to keep in mind. So for the individual, these are important items that they do want to keep in mind as they're working through leading their project. Things to pay attention to, types of questions to ask, what you should be looking for, and ultimately, what is your outcome as part of this. They will continue on. And you'll now see that this tab in the upper right, Good Questions, is highlighted. And there are questions here to ask yourself. So these questions can be found throughout the modules, out all the lessons, as well as some other content. But especially for individuals who are completely new to this, we included this probing type of content because they don't exactly know where to start. And I think all of us at one time or another have been in the room at the start of a project. You have your stakeholders and your team in there, and they're all of a sudden, you think of some important or critical questions that you didn't ask. The meeting has broken up and the team has scattered to all corners of the earth to do their day-to-day jobs. So this really provides questions for the individuals to ask themselves as they're managing the product, questions to ask their team, and questions to ask their project sponsor. So now we're going to go into the first lesson. So here we are, if you look over to the left-hand side, getting it up and running. And the first lesson here is setting the vision and getting aligned. So the goal in this case for setting the vision and getting aligned is to be on the same page as your stakeholders, and most importantly, the consumers of the project and the project sponsor. You may notice that within this text here, stakeholders, sponsor, and down here, objectives are bolded. Those are important and key terms. So individuals can actually click on those terms, and down here at the bottom, a definition of the term pops up. So this starts to get the users understanding the terminology, having a common understanding when others use this, so that they know what they mean and what they're talking about as they work through processes. So these terms are all throughout all of the lessons within the course. And I'll talk to you a little bit more in a few about how individuals can access these terms. Obviously, they can come back to the lesson itself and click around, but there's another way to access those as well. So we're going to continue on, and you'll see the tab at the top, things to keep in mind, which we already talked about. So where to begin and good questions to ask. Now the tab up here is highlighted ways to get it done. And so basically this portion is telling you what you're actually going to produce as a deliverable as part of this lesson. And in this case, it's the stakeholder vision document. You'll see right here, there is a button that says download template. The individual at this point can download a blank template to their local computer and save it for future use. There will be additional ways to access these templates as well, so that individuals don't necessarily have to go back through the lessons to find the template that they need. We're going to continue on, and we're going to begin populating that stakeholder vision document. But first, before we start populating that document, we have to understand what the project is about. So in this case, the project is that the individual has recently joined a product development team, and they're tasked with creating software that controls an automated garden box. The box uses live weather data to keep the plants inside it happy, and the team has nicknamed this project GrowBot. GrowBot will monitor and correct the temperature, water, and sun levels in the garden box, and the user can control it with their phone. And oh, by the way, you are the product owner. So now we understand a bit about what the project is about. So we're going to continue on. Just to call your attention, the lessons that do have an activity associated with it, which we're just about to do, you'll now see in the top navigation, there is an activity tab here. And that's how you'll know if each lesson has an interactive activity within it. So the question and what we need to do here is to drag and drop the most appropriate scope statement into the empty field below. So the stakeholder vision document, our scope statement is create software that allows GrowBot's temperature, water, and sun level to be controlled remotely by phone. I'm going to take that and drag it down into here, project objective. You can see the box has turned green, and we get a nice little encouraging message that says, you got it, keep going. That's how you know you've chosen the right answer. If someone had dragged the other answer into the box, it would turn red, and you'd get a little message also in red text saying why that answer is incorrect. So you get a little bit of encouragement, and you now have the first piece of your stakeholder vision document done. Next, we're going to look at a high-level release plan. So what are the things that I need to do to get this product out? So we're going to need to build it. We're going to need to test it to make sure it's working. Maybe we'll launch it. Nope, we shouldn't do that yet. In an agile and iterative fashion, we want to make sure we're gathering feedback from our users. And you can see that when I put it in out of order, it turned red, and it tells you right here why that's the incorrect order of things. So now I'm going to gather feedback from my users, make any tweaks needed, and go ahead and launch. So now we have the high-level release plan. Our first two sections are completed. Now we're going to establish who the consumer is. So for the purpose of this project, our GrowBot consumers, the end user, definitely going to be our gardeners. And let's see, since we're building the software for GrowBot, there actually has to be a hardware component to this in this particular case. So I think the team responsible for the hardware will want to know what's going on with our software as well. So again, a positive and green message to let the individuals know that they have selected correctly. and we're continuing to build our vision document. Getting feedback is a critical step in agile methodologies, and we want to make sure that we're capturing our customers' feedback. So in my case, I use multiple methods just to validate what we've done. So I would definitely like to do moderated user testing, remote unmoderated testing, and definitely one-on-one interviews. Again, a little bit more encouragement and telling me why I had chosen correctly. Last but not least, we need to talk acceptance criteria. So in this case, I have two choices. The product is fully functioning, tested and verified. It's ready to go to market. Or the product has been tested and verified, but we need to fulfill one more additional user story. I don't think that's the right choice. I think it has to be fully functioning and ready to go. And that is the correct answer. So now we'll see the entire vision document created. And we have now completed the very first lesson of kickoff. And again, here's the opportunity for the individual to download the stakeholder vision document template. So they can see it up front, they can find it at the end of the lesson, and then there's also a library, which I'll show you momentarily. Going back over here to the left-hand side, the column over here, you'll see that I've completed this lesson. Now, in my case, because I've gone through this, you can see all my stars and all my circles are completely filled in yellow. The stars will be white and not filled in if a user has not completed a lesson, and if they have, the star will turn completely yellow. The circles within each modules actually fill in similar to a pie graph. As you make progress within each module, a portion of the circle will fill in until you've completed that entire module. So as everyone goes on through, let's say we have gone through all the lessons and we're going to come to the end and finish up and celebrate. So here we said that we reiterate what the goal is, and the project has met its intended goals and our customers' needs. And at this point, our sponsor has decided that no new features need to produce return on investment, and it's now passed over to operations for ongoing management. So when we continue, we really summarize what the project was about and how we approached it, the good questions to ask, and how we know we've had it covered. So we put a reminder in here that we need to make sure that all documents and deliverables have been up to date and are ready to go as artifacts in case anybody else needs to refer to them. And especially from an operations standpoint, the team needs to know what has transpired. So now we have finished the course and I go to my badge and I can share my badge. I can download the image and share it on social media. Now, if I haven't finished one of the courses, and I'll go to that, I'm going to show you over here. You'll see over here in our hamburger menu, that's what we call these three little lines up in the right-hand corner. The opportunity to share badges. My Agile, because I've completed the Agile course, this is highlighted and I'm able to download and share it. I have not gone through the waterfall course, so the download and share buttons have been grayed out. But you can see there's a link right here to Let's Try the Waterfall course. So I can click right onto that and it will take me right over to there's a little, yes, that will take me over to the waterfall version of the course. A few more things that I want to call out. Let's start again with the hamburger menu. So here's an opportunity to share. Here's where you can find your badges. Remember in the beginning when I called out those bolded words that were key terms, and if you clicked on those, a definition would pop up at the bottom. Well, instead of having to search through each of the lessons, users can come directly here to the key terms section, and all the terms that were used throughout the entire lesson can be found here, and users can click on them and the definitions will pop up. So it's that one spot repository where the individuals can come back to refresh their memory on what the term means. In addition, if the user comes here to tools and templates, those templates that are introduced in the beginning and at the end of the lessons, those can all be found here in one repository as well. So you can see that these templates are for the getting it up and running module, and specifically around aligning people and objectives. There's the link to the tutorial, when they should use this template, as well as the button to download it. So this is the one area where the user can come back at any time to download the templates. We have a feedback survey, which we welcome. We welcome any and all feedback from our users. We also have the questions to ask repository. So these are all the questions that are introduced throughout the lessons, and users can come back here in case they want to refresh themselves with the appropriate questions to ask. And last but not least, we have an about section that talks a little bit about the genesis of Kickoff and how it was a collaborative effort between PMI and our Global Executive Council organizations. We have a Learn More page, which will introduce other PMI products as well for users to take advantage of. Last but not least, up here in the upper left hand of our left-hand navigation, earning your badge. If an individual, they can click up here and get their badge as well. So this happens to be the waterfall course that I have not completed, so that's why it's still grayed out. A few more items that I just want to cover with you before we go. Within the badge area in the hamburger menu, individuals can click back and forth to the Agile course and the waterfall. But if you also scroll down to the bottom, there's a direct link here. So in this case, I'm in the waterfall course, and if I want to click back to get to the Agile course, I just click on that, and here I am back in the Agile course itself, and now the link switches to waterfall. I've already mentioned, but just want to call your attention one more time, that Kickoff is available in 5 languages: English, Spanish, Simplified Chinese, Portuguese, and French. So that is really it as far as the demo goes. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but just before I do that, let me see if I can go back to the main screen. What I'd just like to say, because all of you are representatives of our authorized training program, and I know I've got some good questions from our team that represents you all internally, and we would love to hear your feedback on Kickoff. And Kickoff is completely free. There is no charge for anyone. There is no charge in the future state of Kickoff as well. It is a completely free tool for individuals. And as I talked about it in the beginning, it's really meant to be a lead generator for PMI. And I think in this case, something that you all could also leverage, either as a value add to the project managers you may be training. You could give this to them as a tool to take back to their teams and their organizations, so that we're spreading the good word about the importance of project management skills. It could be an add-on to something you already offer, or you could leverage this tool as a lead generator for your own marketing purposes as you're reaching out into the great wide world of individuals who do manage projects. And it's an opportunity to really introduce project management to these individuals. So I have said a lot. Let me rest there, and I am very happy to take any of your questions.
Hi, Kerry. So we do have some questions I see coming in, or people have raised their hands. But just to kind of kickstart the conversation, you briefly mentioned the origins of kickoff by mentioning that this is something that was formulated by PMI and our GEC organizations. So could you kindly explain to us where the concept of kickoff originated?
Absolutely. So our partners, these global organizations that PMI work with, and the Global Executive Council, come together quarterly for various meetings, an opportunity to learn and network. And one of the problems or challenges that came up from one of our members, particularly Amazon, and the representative from Amazon, a gentleman by the name of Rick Weil, said that as he's progressed throughout his career and moved into a leadership position, he found that he was basically creating a list of notes, a list of resources that he liked to share with his teams to essentially get them up to speed on project management terminologies and the processes that he used within those organizations. And this cheat sheet that he created, he actually eventually transitioned it from a written list that he would make copies of to a digital document. And he said, you know, it would really be great. We have a lot of individuals in our organization who are not formal project managers, but are assigned to projects or leading projects, but don't have a project manager as a resource. And it would be great if we could have this handbook or playbook of information pulled together in a nice, neat, easy to consume way to share with team members all around his organization. And that got the conversation rolling, and other organizations agreed that that was a definite need. So based on the requirements, and I think Rick at one point even handed over his actual list, PMI decided to take that on and develop what has become Kickoff. And again, it was really meant for those individuals who are not formal project managers, but need the skills. You may have heard PMI refer to them as skill builders. So it's not necessarily individuals who are looking to become a formal project manager in the profession, but they need the skill set. But then there's also the opportunity to introduce individuals, especially those early on in their careers, to the profession. And if it's something that they're interested in, like, and feel that they're good at, we hope to be able to draw them in into PMI further, supporting their career journey wherever they are, whatever stage they're in. So we see a lot of opportunity here, and as did our council members. And it was really exciting to co-develop this together.
Great. Now, kickoff seems quite easy and simple. Is that something that was done intentionally?
Yes, exactly. So I've gotten lots of questions, even internally, and some folks have said, "Well, kickoff it's quite basic," and that was the intention. So many of you train in project management practices. Maybe you've been a practitioner yourself, and obviously there are a lot more technical aspects to managing a project. We didn't want to overwhelm those individuals who are just trying to get something started and up and running. And we wanted them to have a framework and high level consistent terminology. So we wanted to keep it simple so as not to overwhelm these individuals, but still give them a framework in which to work so that they could lead their projects.
Okay. We have a question here also, which is asking, is it possible to exhaust the list of stakeholders in a project? Are stakeholders just the beneficiaries and implementers of the project?
That's a great question, and I think that depends on the project itself. So in this case, right, we had a shorter list of those stakeholders within the lesson. And again, that goes back to the simplicity. I know in our organization, we have many stakeholders, both internally and externally, including you all as ATPs, our chapters, et cetera. So I don't know that it's possible to exhaust that list. It's going to differ for everyone, but this gives the individual a basic understanding that you have to really think through who are the beneficiaries internally and externally to this project, and just even getting individuals to think about that. It's not just that they're leading this project because their supervisor said so, but that there are actual goals and outcomes that impact the organization and ultimately the end users. So that's going to vary with each project.
Okay. Karen is asking, just to confirm, can we give learners the link to the homepage for kickoff?
Absolutely. You can share the link with anybody and everybody. And what I would encourage you to do, I think it could really be leveraged as a marketing tool for your organization. Again, position it as we're partnered together. I mean, that's a lot about what our ATPs are. We're partners in delivering courses and training, and leverage this. It's something free, because I'm making an assumption that many of your offerings have a cost associated with it. So this can help. It's a give back to the community and your potential students to learn. So definitely leverage it. Totally free. Anyone can access it.
Okay. I believe there's some individuals that have raised their hands. So if you could kindly unmute and ask your question. Okay. Okay. If not, please feel free to share the questions you may have in the chat if there are any further questions. But I do have two more questions here with me, Kerry. One being, does kickoff align to PMI's PM bot guide or the Agile practice guide?
Great question. We get asked that a lot. So yes, I would say at a very high level, the content is aligned. We don't want any of our content that we put out in the market to conflict, obviously. But again, for simplicity's sake, we've kept it at a very high level, and almost the language within kickoff and the content is more in layman's terms, just because these are individuals that are not familiar with project management practices or approaches. So the courses are aligned. And as we continue to look at additional expansion, I know there's some additional product workshops and showcases coming up from our team here on products like Wicked Problem Solving, Citizen Developer. There's lots going on within PMI, and we really think we might be able to expand this content into different areas so that we can give a very light touch and introduction to these different types of project management approaches, so that individuals can pick it up right away and understand it. We don't want to get too overly technical, so we do keep it at a high level.
Okay. We have a question here from Lawrence, who wants to know if kickoff is available to the ATPs and chapters, or is it open to the public?
Great question. It is open to everyone, ATPs, chapters, our current stakeholders, et cetera. So it's available to anyone to access. But again, remember that, so I mean, we communicate the messaging about kickoff out to stakeholders like yourselves, but the goal of kickoff isn't really necessarily for those that are already engaging with you or PMI. Some of those folks might be further down their path. Some may not be. Some may be very early in their careers. But the goal is to leverage kickoff to reach those change makers that don't even know that they're managing projects. So to leverage kickoff in bringing those folks into the fold who have never heard of PMI or project management before, but getting them to think about managing a project in a structured way.
Okay. Ravish wants to know, can we use Kickoff as a PMO tool, or is PMI having any plans to develop a PMO tool as a product?
I would say absolutely. As far as using Kickoff as a PMO tool, I think it's a great idea. I'll be honest, I'm in one area of the organization, and we are developing so many products out there. I don't have a total view into everything that we're doing. We have many teams. But as far as the way we've been positioning Kickoff, right, is to leverage it as a PMO tool for your project management practitioners in the PMO. This is obviously going to be very, very rudimentary and basic. It would be of no value to them. But to leverage it with team members, subject matter experts within the organization who are there to be part of the team and support the team in meeting the objective, to help them get on the same page as your project managers and project leaders, I think is an excellent way to leverage it.
Okay, great. Which brings me kind of to my last question, or ties in with the last question I have, which is PMI has introduced a lot of new products lately. Where does this fit in within PMI's portfolio?
That was a perfect segue from what I just said.
Right.
So PMI is part of the value we offer. We want to be relevant to everyone from 5 to 75, no matter where they are in their project management journey. So we want to be relevant in any situation and in that particular moment that matters for those individuals. And those moments that matter could be, oh my gosh, my supervisor just gave me this project that I have to lead, and I don't know, I've never done this before. That's the case and the purpose of Kickoff. So Kickoff, as far as the portfolio goes, is really for those early career professionals to leverage, to grab some quick set of skills, get an understanding, and start, get up and running with their project. So it's meant to be a top of the funnel type of product. There's no cost associated with it, and therefore it's low commitment, but we're seeing that it provides value and that it actually provides a skill set for these individuals who have not heard of PMI or project management before. And hopefully we can entice them to come join us wherever they are in their career journey. So it's really meant to be that introduction type of product to those who don't know PMI.
Right. And Karen has also just added a comment here which says, at the start of the project, you can use Kickoff as an onboarding tool with stakeholders who do not get involved in projects every day, or even existing teams, to facilitate discussions at the start of a project.
That is perfect. And we've talked about that, Karen. That is a fantastic point. We've talked about onboarding new individuals. We would love to even get in to HR, right? And those responsible for learning and development, but maybe not even there, but just as an organization onboarding tool. You've just joined a new finance company or a new construction company. You're brand new to the organization. You might have a different role other than the project manager. And here's a way to gain a quick set of skills right off the bat. And now you also have the same terminology and basic understanding of how projects are run. So onboarding is an excellent way to leverage Kickoff.
That's it in terms of questions. So if anyone has any questions they would like to ask that I have not asked already, please feel free to unmute yourself. Okay, great. This essentially brings us to the end of our session. So I would like to thank you so much, Kerry, for the knowledge and the insights that you shared with us today. It's been so helpful. I believe Ravish is typing a question if I'm not mistaken. Okay, sorry. Oh, it's a thank you comment. Sorry. Okay, so just to also say thank you to you all for taking the time to attend today's session. Please feel free to get in contact with us should you have any further questions. Please feel free to email the team at pmiafrica@pmi.org. The email address shall be shared with you in the chat, so please feel free to get in touch with us with any questions or queries you may have. As I've already mentioned, we've come to the end of today's session, so please stay tuned and connected for our subsequent product showcases, where we kick off next week with wicked problem solving. Thank you all for your time today, and hopefully we connect again with you next week. As I said at the start of the call as well, kindly note that we will share today's presentation and the recording with you, as long as some feedback and a survey. So please kindly share your comments and thoughts with us, and we'll gladly take them on board. And if in course of the week or the weekend you come up with any other questions or thoughts, again, please feel free to get in touch with us and email us with any suggestions or questions or feedback you may have. Otherwise, thank you for the time this evening and enjoy your weekend.